Hi friends, this is the last lecture rather in chapter 2. This is lecture number 10, video lecture number 10, and of the final three areas that I want to cover with you as far as solving for something other than the FV or the PV. We were dealing with solving for the interest rate and solving for the time. We just did those, and I put demonstrations for you on this worksheet, proofs, okay? We came up with the answer. Okay, so we solved one for the interest rate, one for the time, and I put a proof right out of the book and right out of my last video for you right here, okay? So I demonstrated how 2,500 can grow to around 3,500, okay? And we are just doing approximations. We solved for time and showed how 15,000 can grow to 24,000 and change, okay? So please study those proofs as you read up through page 38. Okay, today's lecture is going to be on the third and final unknown, which is going to be solving for the payment amount. Okay, and please study pages 38, 39, and 40, and the top of 41. Okay, and that's going to conclude the chapter for us. Now, one of the most important things you're going to be doing, not only as a financial professional, but also for yourself, is to come up with a payment. As I indicated to you in our magical blue book yesterday, that big blue thing I showed you in the video, coming up with the amount of payment necessary to to service debt, a fixed rate debt. And I'm going to stick with a fixed rate in this course, by the way. You know that sometimes interest rates can be variable. We're going to stick with fixed. Okay? You want to know whether it fits in your budget or not, and that means you need to know every single payment, which is going to be, it's going to contain at least two things. If you're a homeowner and you write a mortgage check, you know it contains a few other things too. All we're going to worry about is the amount of interest and the amount of principal. You have to pay the lender interest, the cost of credit, and in the same payment, you're also paying off a portion of the debt that you owe them, okay? The principal. How much of each is what we're trying to figure out now. So, usually, I'm going to give you I gave you a demonstration on page 39 of future value. Please read that on your own. But I really, as a person who's focused more on learning about consumer issues like debt and your personal debt service, I really want to focus on Table D, also known as Table 4, because you want to be able to take an amount of money that you borrow for a given term at a given interest rate and say, what will my regular payment be? It might be annual, it might be monthly, it might be quarterly, okay? So again, that is called debt service. Every payment will contain principal and it will contain interest, okay? You need to know this because you have to budget it. It could be for your home mortgage, like a 20 or 30-year mortgage, a 3 to 5 year car payment. It could be a personal loan. No matter what the type of loan is, generally, we use Table 4 or Table D to come up with the actual payment amount. It's all based on this, okay? PVA equals one payment times the PVIFA, okay? Now think about that. When you borrow money, the amount that you borrow right now, today, is the present value of an annuity. It's how much you're borrowing today that you'll have to repay, annuitize in a word, in the future. So think of the total amount that you just borrowed as the PVA, the present value of a stream of payments, and those stream of payments will be the repayment that you make in accordance with the terms of your borrowing. We're going to be solving for the payment. That's going to be our unknown. The PVIFA, that comes right from Table D. That means you need to know the term and you need to know the interest rate, okay? So, here's an example. If you borrow, I'm not sure if this is the one in the book, let me make sure. Yes, you're going to borrow $50,000 today, a personal loan. You're going to repay it in 5 annual installments starting a year from now, right away. That's an ordinary annuity. And the interest rate is 5%. Okay, so how much do you have to pay every year to achieve a full repayment? So when you make your last payment, the debt is totally erased. Okay, so we're going to use formula number 4. PVA equals the payment times the PVIFA from Table D. Plug the numbers in. Okay, if you go to Table D and you look up 5% for 5 years, you're going to see that the number is 4.3295. See it right there? Okay. All right. So we divide both sides by 4.3295. One payment will be 50,000 divided by that PVIFA, and it maths out to 11,548.68. Make 5 payments of that amount, and that will fully pay off all of the interest you owe, and it will pay off the amount of principal as well. Okay, here is my proof. Okay, so I know that I'm starting by owing the bank, let's assume it's a bank who loaned me this money, $50,000. So I lay out this is called an amortization table, by the way, friends, an amortization table. Amort, M-O-R-T if you speak French. M-O-R-T means death in French, and when you pay off a mortgage, you're killing it, one payment at a time, M-O-R-T, okay? This is also an amortization table where you're killing off the debt. So we start by owing $50,000. I make a payment of $11,548. Okay, that contains interest and principal. So I take my $50,000 times 5%. That means at the end of 1 year, I owe the bank $2,500. Okay, that's going to come out of that payment of $11,000. We pay interest first. Whatever of that $11,548 is left after paying the interest, that is used to reduce your principal. Okay, now since the payments stay the same, and since my amount that I owe the bank will be declining as I pay it off, every single year, my interest will be less and less and less. That means that the amount that's left to apply to the principal will be more and more and more. And I'm always going to take whatever I owe the bank minus how much is applied to the principal, and that's how much is left. So in year 2, I'll calculate interest based on $40,951.32 times 5%. That will equal $2,047.57. Okay? When I make my 4th payment, I will have paid down all but $10,999 to the bank. So my very final payment on the last day of the 5 years, my last $11,548, contains $549.95. The balance that's left to apply to my principal is about $10,999, and my debt is now dead. Okay? Now, whenever you borrow money, always, always, always make sure you ask for an amortization table. Okay? If you ask for it, the lender has the legal obligation to give it to you in accordance with lending laws here in the United States. Okay? And you can certainly run one yourself. This is how I prevented a well-known car dealer from trying to tell me that an interest rate was lower than it really was. Okay? Now here's the deal. That was a nice simple illustration of an annual repayment. Now as present or future homeowners, I want you to remember what I'm about to show you, okay? I illustrate this in the appendix to the book, but I really want you to know these numbers because this is vital knowledge, okay? I want you to look at non-annual periods, okay? Because generally speaking, when you borrow money, you're going to owe them a monthly payment, not an annual payment. And it's quite an eye-opener, okay? Especially when you're dealing with a 20 or 30-year mortgage. If you're doing a monthly payment, that means a monthly compounding interest calculation, you're going to be amazed at how much of your earliest payments are pretty much just all interest. That means the principal is declining very slowly, and the bank is collecting the bulk of their interest, their revenue from you, early on. So I took the liberty of drafting this up for you, and I will post this. Okay? You take out a mortgage, 20 years, that's 240 months, right? 5% annually, and the amount is $120,000. Okay? Now, I provided the PVIFA for you. All right? Now, what we're going to do is make note of the fact that this is 240 monthly payments. Okay? Not 20 annual payments. So, right away, you owe the bank $120,000. And your friendly neighborhood banker says, okay, at 5% annually, 20 years, it's going to cost you $791.95 a month to honor that. Okay, so now, do you calculate interest at 5%? Careful, you want to calculate interest at 1/12 of that because this is a monthly repayment. So take 5%, divide it by 12, Okay, and that's going to be the interest rate you use. You're going to multiply $120,000 times that number, and it's going to give you $500. So when you make your very first payment, $791.95, $500 of it is interest. Okay, a measly $291 reduces your principal from $120 down to $119,708.05. Okay. Now, obviously, as that declines, and it's going to decline very slowly in the early months, then the amount that you owe for principal every month will increase. The amount of interest will decrease, but they'll always total $791.95. And at some point way down here, look how slowly that's dropping, huh? Okay, some point way down here, the two payments are going to cross. It looks like it happens 70 payments. It happens about 5 years out or 6 years out. Yeah, more like 6 years, 6.5 years. The payments cross, and all of a sudden you're paying more principal than you are interest. Okay, so look at that. I'm going to scroll way down here, and now I'm paying a lot more principal, but the banks made their money early on, the interest portion. Isn't that a shocker? And we get to the end, and you see, ladies and gentlemen, that after paying 240 payments of $791, okay, to service a $120,000 borrowing, it has cost you another $70,000. That's 58% of the purchase price. Isn't that something? That's why you've really got to watch what a fixed rate mortgage can do to you. Now, you might say to yourself, as you're trying to buy this house, whatever this we're doing here, I'm assuming it's a house. Okay, you might say to your banker, I can't afford $791.95 a month. That's outside of my budget constraints. So she says to you, no worries, we'll give you a 30-year mortgage. Ooh, okay. I did the math for you here, friends. If you want to know my exact math, you let me know. Okay, because the PVIFA doesn't jump off my table at you. Finding it is actually quite easy if you use my Excel tables and change a couple of numbers. All right, your banker says to you, we can get that payment down to $644.19 if you make it a 30-year mortgage. Ooh, okay. Once again, it's still 5%. So the very first payment is $500, and the other $144 reduces your principal. Obviously, the bank is still making their interest early on, and your outstanding balance is dropping a lot less quickly. It's dropping very slowly. So once again, the bank is going to really clean up on interest. This time, when do the two payments cross each other? Oh my goodness, this time it happens way the heck out here. It looks like it's going to happen somewhere around month 196, somewhere around there. Okay? That's how long it takes you to be paying more principal and less interest. All right, I hope you're sitting down. I hope you haven't had anything to eat. I hope you're on a nice empty stomach, because now I want to show you how much you paid in total for that $120,000 debt. You paid $112,000 worth of interest. Okay? You paid a total amount of cash of $231,900 for a $120,000 house. You ended up paying 93% of the purchase price again in interest. Isn't that a shocker? Almost double. Okay? I'm not saying that there isn't a place in your lives or my lives for a long-term fixed-rate mortgage, but when you enter into a situation like that, ladies and gentlemen, you want to make absolutely certain that you know what you're doing. Okay? Try to negotiate so that you can make early payments. If you prepay some of your payments on the early side, that can really make a huge difference in the interest you'll end up paying later. Okay, so try to always make sure you negotiate that trap door for yourselves. Bankers don't like that. Bankers like to lock in their long-term commitments, and I think you can see why they like to do that. Okay, so that is my safety tip of the day from a personal financial point of view. So I am probably unlikely to ask you to do an amortization table for me, but you certainly, for obvious reasons, want to know how to do one for yourself. Okay. But I am going to expect you to know how to do a solution for a payment. That's very important to us. Okay? All right, very good. If you want to play with some more numbers, there are a couple of examples in the back of the book in the chapter notes and the bibliography. You'll find them back there. And if you want me to give you some more, I'll be happy to. But please understand that to solve for a payment, you simply use equation number 4 and table D. And then if you'd like to see a proof, I hope I've shown you how to do one of those. I won't require it, as I've said before in my class. But I do think there's a lot of benefit to you knowing how to do it, okay? So that is it for Chapter 2. You have survived Chapter 2. If you have any questions, please make sure you get to me. I'll be more than happy to take care of those for you, and I'll be recording a video, my first video on Chapter 3, very, very soon, probably within the next hour. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.